Before the F-35 became America's most controversial flying computer, before the F-22 made enemy radars feel blind, and before the F-14 Tomcat turned fighter jets into movie legends, the United States had to survive 70 years of mistakes, fear, arrogance, and technological obsession. One fighter was so fast it accidentally shot itself down. Another went to war without a gun because the Pentagon thought dogfighting was dead. Another was born from a rebellion inside the Air Force itself. And one stealth fighter, maybe the most beautiful America ever built, lost a competition that aviation fans still argue about today. This is not just the story of American fighter jets. This is the story of how air combat changed from pilots chasing each other in the sky to invisible aircraft controlling wars before the enemy even sees the threat. Most people rank fighter jets in the simplest way possible. The fastest one must be the best, the most expensive one must be the most advanced, the coolest looking one must be the deadliest. Before we go further, if you're enjoying this journey through the evolution of American fighter jets, make sure to subscribe to Aeropedia, because the next videos are going even deeper. The secret war between the F-22 and the YF-23, the rise of sixth-generation fighters, and the terrifying future of AI-controlled air combat. If you love military aviation, stealth technology, Cold War secrets, and the stories behind the world's most powerful aircraft, you're going to love what's coming next. But the real history is darker. American fighters were not born from beauty. They were born from fear. Fear of Soviet bombers carrying nuclear weapons. Fear of MiGs ambushing pilots over Vietnam. Fear that a carrier could be hit before it saw the enemy. Fear that China or Russia could erase America's advantage in the sky. Every fighter in this story is a solution to a fear. And the first fear was speed. In the early jet age, everyone believed the same thing. If you were faster, you survived. If you were slower, you died. The first generation of American jet fighters was a strange and dangerous world. Before 1962, even the naming system was messy because the Navy, Air Force, and other services used different designations. But the machines from that era tell the same story. The United States was learning in real time what jet engines could do and what pilots could survive. The F-1 Fury, F-2 Banshee, F-3 Demon, F-8 Crusader, F-9 Cougar, F-10 Sky Knight, and F-11 Tiger all belonged to a time when engineers were still discovering the rules of the jet battlefield. Some became respected, some were forgotten, and one became famous for one of the most absurd accidents in aviation history. On September 21, 1956, test pilot Tom Attridge fired the 20mm cannons of his Grumman F-11 Tiger during a shallow dive. The bullets left the guns fast. Air resistance slowed them down. The jet kept accelerating, and seconds later, the F-11 flew into its own gunfire. The fighter had literally shot itself down. It sounds funny now, but it revealed something frightening. America was entering the jet age faster than its tactics, weapons, and assumptions could adapt. Then came the F-4 Phantom II. Big, fast, powerful, terrifying. On paper, it looked like the future. It had radar, missiles, 2 crew members, heavy weapons, and the ability to attack from beyond visual range. There was just one problem. The future did not work. In Vietnam, American pilots discovered a brutal truth. The missile age had arrived before missile technology was truly ready. More than half of the missiles fired by the U.S. Air Force during the Southeast Asia War malfunctioned. Only about 1 in 11 missiles fired actually scored a victory. Think about that. The most advanced fighter concept of its time entered a real war, and most of its weapons either failed or missed. Even worse, many Air Force F-4s used during Operation Rolling Thunder did not have an internal gun, because guns, they said, were obsolete. Vietnam proved that wrong in the most brutal way possible. A fighter designed for the missile age was dragged back into knife fights in the sky. Pilots who had been told dogfighting was dead suddenly had to fight MiGs at close range, with missiles that often failed and no built-in gun to finish the fight. This changed everything. Technology alone does not win air combat. Doctrine matters, Training matters, maneuverability matters, and when the perfect missile shot never comes, the pilot still needs a machine that can fight. After Vietnam, American air power split into two philosophies. One side wanted bigger, more powerful fighters with better radar, longer range, and heavier weapons. The other wanted smaller, lighter fighters that could turn, accelerate, and survive when combat became messy. For the Navy, the fear was the carrier. A carrier battle group is one of the most powerful military formations on Earth. But in the Cold War, it was also a giant target. Soviet bombers and long-range missiles could threaten the fleet from far away. So the Navy needed more than a fighter. It needed a guardian. That machine was the F-14 Tomcat. 2 engines, 2 crew members, a massive radar, variable sweep wings, and the ability to defend a carrier battle group before the enemy reached the fleet. The F-14 became a movie icon, but its real mission was not Hollywood. Its mission was fear. It carried the Navy's anxiety into the sky and pushed danger away from the carrier. While the Navy had its guardian, the Air Force wanted something more direct, a fighter with one job: win control of the sky, not share it, not contest it, own it. That aircraft was the F-15 Eagle. After Vietnam, the United States did not want another fighter that had to learn its job under fire. The F-15 was built as an all-weather tactical fighter designed to gain and maintain air supremacy over the battlefield. That sounds clean on paper. In reality, it means something far more aggressive. Enter hostile airspace, find the enemy, kill the enemy, leave with control of the sky. The F-15 became the heavyweight champion of the air superiority era. But even as the Eagle became a legend, another idea was forming inside the Pentagon. What if America was making fighters too big, too expensive, and too dependent on systems that might fail? That idea became a rebellion, and that rebellion created the F-16. The F-16 exists because a small group of men inside the Pentagon looked at the future of American air power and decided everyone above them was wrong. They became known as the Fighter Mafia. Their argument was dangerous. The Air Force was building fighters that were becoming too heavy, too expensive, and too dependent on technology. They wanted something different, a lighter fighter, a cheaper fighter, a fighter that could turn, accelerate, and survive when the perfect missile shot never came. John Boyd's energy maneuverability theory became the intellectual weapon behind that rebellion. The lightweight fighter program produced competing prototypes, including the YF-16 and YF-17. The YF-16 became the foundation of the F-16 Fighting Falcon, and somehow the rebels won. The result was not just another fighter. It was one of the most successful combat aircraft ever built. The F-16 was compact, highly maneuverable, multirole, and relatively lower cost compared with heavier fighters. It could fight in the air. It could strike targets on the ground. It could be upgraded, exported, adapted, and flown by allies around the world. The F-15 was the heavyweight champion. The F-16 was the knife fighter that became a global phenomenon, and its existence proved something powerful. Sometimes the future is not created by the people protecting the system. Sometimes it is created by the people willing to challenge it. But the Navy had a different problem. Carrier space is limited, budgets are limited, and war does not politely ask aircraft to perform only one mission at a time. That is why the F-18 Hornet mattered. It was not just a fighter, it was a fighter and attack aircraft. The Hornet could defend the fleet, strike ground targets, operate from carriers, and shift between missions in a way older specialized aircraft could not. This was a major turning point. The Cold War began with specialization. Interceptors intercepted, attack aircraft attacked, fighters fought, but modern war punished aircraft that could do only one thing. The multirole fighter became king because commanders needed options, and that idea would later become the foundation of the most controversial fighter in modern history, the F-35. But before the F-35, there was a ghost, the YF-23 Black Widow. 2. To many aviation fans, it is the fighter America left behind. It looked stranger than the F-22, cleaner, darker, almost alien. It was designed with stealth as a priority, and unlike the F-22, it did not use thrust vectoring, a choice connected to reducing weight and improving stealth characteristics. And that raises one of the most addictive questions in modern aviation history. Did America choose the best fighter or the safest choice? The official answer is that the F-22 won after extensive flight testing. But the emotional answer is much more interesting, because the F-23 became the aircraft people never stopped imagining, the fighter that lost, the machine that might have changed everything. We will come back to that ghost later, because before you can understand why the F-23 lost, you need to understand what the F-22 became. The F-22 Raptor is not famous because it is beautiful. It is famous because it feels unfair. Stealth, supercruise, extreme maneuverability, integrated avionics, sensor fusion. The Raptor was not built to fight like older jets. It was built to destroy the enemy. Before the enemy fully understood, the fight had started. Old air combat was about the merge. Two aircraft closing in, turning, burning fuel, fighting for position. The F-22 changed the fantasy. Its ideal battle is not a cinematic dogfight. Its ideal battle is silence, a radar screen, a launch warning that comes too late, and an enemy pilot who never knows exactly where the attack came from. The fear behind the F-22 was the possibility that America's fourth-generation advantage would not last forever. So the Raptor was built to make the sky hostile before the enemy could react. But the F-22 had a problem. It was extraordinary, but also rare, expensive, and specialized. America had created an air dominance predator. Now it needed something broader: stealth, sensors, data, and multi-role capability for multiple services and allies. That requirement produced the aircraft everyone argues about, the F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 is probably the most misunderstood fighter jet in the world. People love to argue about it. Too expensive, too complex, too dependent on software, not fast enough, not as romantic as the F-14, not as dominant in pure air-to-air mythology as the F-22. But many of those arguments miss the point. The F-35 is not trying to be a classic fighter. It is trying to be the central nervous system of modern air combat. It does not just carry weapons, it collects information, it fuses data, it shares that data, it sees threats, it guides other forces, it turns the battlefield into a connected system. That is why the F-35 is so controversial, because it changed the question. The old question was, who has the best fighter? The new question is, who controls the information first? And that is terrifying, because in modern air combat, the enemy might lose before seeing the aircraft that found them. The F-35 is not the fastest fighter in the family. It is not the most elegant. It is not the most romantic. But it may be the clearest sign of where air warfare is going. Away from lone aces, away from simple dogfight legends, away from aircraft as isolated machines, and toward networks, data, stealth, sensors, first-shot advantage. The F-35 is a solution to the fear that the next war will be decided by information, not speed. So what does the journey from the F-1 to the F-35 really show us? It shows that American fighter jets did not evolve in a straight line. They evolved through fear, failure, and obsession. The early jets chased speed. The Phantom trusted missiles before missiles were ready. Vietnam brought back the dogfight. The Tomcat defended the fleet. The Eagle conquered the sky. The Falcon proved that lighter could be smarter. The Hornet made flexibility essential. The Raptor made stealth terrifying. And the F-35 turned the fighter into a networked weapon system. But here is the final twist. The story is not over. The United States is already moving into the next chapter with the F-47, the next-generation fighter announced as part of the Air Force's NGAD program. That means the F-35 may not be the final form. It may be the bridge, the aircraft connecting the age of human pilots to an age of loyal wingmen, artificial intelligence, drones, stealth networks, and battles, fought faster than human reaction time. So the next time someone asks, what is the best American fighter jet? Maybe the answer is not one aircraft. Maybe the answer is the entire evolution, because every fighter in this story carried a lesson. And the F-35 carries all of them, from speed to missiles to dogfights, to stealth, to data. If you want the next episode, we can go deeper into the ghost of American stealth. The why, F-23 Black Widow 2. Was it actually better than the F-22? Or did America choose the safer weapon? Tell us in the comments. And if you love aircraft history, subscribe to Aeropedia, because the next machine we cover looks less like a fighter jet and more like a warning from the future.